All right. You open up one more thing and keep on forgetting stuff. I'm worried that I still forgot something. Who knows? I don't think I did, but been weird. It's a weird week. This week's a weird week. Kind of going by the seat of my goddamn jorts. So welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, Isaac MCCanary. Should look up a fish. We're hopefully going to finish our boy today. This is Spinosaurus. Been working on a Spinosaurus. Been going well. It's been going well, I think. Um, wished a little bit more perspective on the skeleton. Yeah, no, that's correct. I think I drew that right. I do find it interesting. I might need to move the eyes up a little bit. But we're pretty much almost done with everything else. Everything else is looking good. Open. For some reason, Fresco does not like when I use my mouse for that. I don't know why. It never has. It seemingly never will. Just want to maneuver the eyeball. It's a little bit too low, I think. I think it needs to be up a little bit. It needs to be more like... Yeah. More like up here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that looks way more correct. Oops. I had the eye in the wrong spot. My bad. Yeah, that's where the eye is. You have to sometimes look at what you do and go, oh, that was wrong. That's okay. Let me move this. I could say shit. Okay, good, good. No, that's what I wanted. I was like, oh no, a hole. Actually, I just had to fix that. 'Cause yeah, that's more like where his eye's actually supposed to be. Anatomy's important, guys. Sometimes it's hard to follow. And hopefully today, I'll be focusing on... I think I've got pretty much all the anatomy where I want it to. Hopefully I'll be starting the render here soon. Uh, I mainly just wanted to, like, fix that. I don't think there's really anything else I need to fix. I'm sure I could probably fix something with the back leg. Boy, why do things keep on connecting and disconnecting from my computer? It stresses me out. I don't know what made the noise there. It's probably fine. It has been a thing I've noticed recently that my computer keeps doing, and I'm gonna stop it. It's funny as I don't feel like I was putting off the render all that much. I just took a while to get to it. The question is do I just want to use like soft opacity like I was before, or do I want to try something else? Because the thing is this is very like I don't think artificial is the right term, but um, it's well maybe it is. It's just got a very like clean digital look to it, which could be good, but I don't know if it's what I'm going for. So we're just gonna try some stuff. First off, that's actually not dark enough. Start something like this. Gonna start adding some media. A little bit at a time. I'm trying to think of it more as like texturing now these days. Like, before I used to think of it as like, oh, I want to do shapes. Oh, I want to do something specific. And now I'm just like, screw it. It's just like adding a little bit of something to give it a little bit more vibrance is usually what I'm going for when I start texturing now. And like giving it a little bit more flavor. Like a little bit at a time. Like a little bit at a time instead of just put down a shit ton of it at once. Something like that. And more like that. Oh, this needs to go. Hold on. Actually, this does need to go in here. Made a mistake. It does need to go in that layer group. The reason why is the line work needs to go above it. There we go. That's better. Oops. What I need to remember is rendering is not as many different colors as you think it is. Really, I need to focus on like a few colors that I use to try to like get what I want. And then the only other thing I should use any other coloration for are things like shading and highlights, and that's it. And I might even, it's been a while since I've done this, but I might experiment with that. We'll see. I used to do that a lot. I used to, there was a period in my artwork where I was specifically using colors to abstract that for a while, so that might be something I might look at again. I really rather like doing. It's a technique that I did a bit in college. I really, really, really liked how it would turn out, so might look into that again. Try this orange here. No. Don't work. Trying to get something that really pops. Ooh, okay, that's something. I think I want that to be consistent also. Let me turn this off. 1 second. You just see the whole picture. That was distracting me. Ah! Hold on. Do that first, and then we'll turn that off. What? What? He's here for support. He's here to help. At least I started the render today. That's a progress. Really, that's all I was worried about. It was like, am I gonna get the render actually started today? I don't know. And I did. That's what matters. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how exactly to handle. Because I do want that. So I need to go Tighter. Maybe. That maybe. So close to finishing you, Mr. Spinosaurus. He's almost done. He's almost done. I hope. I think today the goal is to be like, fuck it. Whatever I do, I do. It's finished after this. I ain't gonna work on it no more. The classic me. You know. Reality, I like when my stuff gets. Don't like doing the same thing over and over again. Not usually. Not typically, no. And one thing I really want to focus on with this particular project is really hone in on my color control. And by that I mean like just how I utilize color. Because again, I feel like one of the things I both do that like can be good, but I get a little bit too over the top with is I use too many colors. I use too many colors. I need to find like a core set whenever I work on any given project and only use those colors. Oh, no you. You buddy. What? What? Saw him going for it. And I was like, no, 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 no. Hey, no. I know his ways. I know your ways. That's why that was also acting weird. I was wondering, I was like, that doesn't seem right. Figured it out. It's also like, not erasing. Oh, that's why. Not on the right, it's not even on the right layer, even a little bit. I was wondering what that was too for a second. I was like, that's not right. Honestly, I need to be using. I should think about this like a spray can, right? I've seen that spray can art, and when you want to do a specific, so if I want to do a specific section, I need to use a line. I need to make like essentially like a line boundary here. So like let's say I want that to keep going down. I need to make a line boundary here. Then there. I have to be more willing to do that because then I can get cleaner lines like that. So just you to be a little bit thinner. Same thing here. Oh god, but it's gonna be such a pain. I have to go in. Teeth. 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 So many teeth. This is what it takes to be better at art. It's a pain, but you have to do stuff like this. Actually want to get better, you have to do stuff like this. Really, that could be as big as I want. Mainly the teeth is the most important part. Wait, why isn't it working? How am I getting a little bit of Below there, that was weird. That was odd. That shouldn't have done that. But that's something I need to do more, is I need to use that kind of stuff to be able to prevent myself from accidentally coloring over things that I don't mean to. I need to stencil a little bit more. And the advantage to that, though, is that I have a little bit more control, right? Like, I can do more situations like that where I'm like, yeah, all I do is go in and fix it. I wouldn't even say it's fixing. It's not really even fixing. More like making sure that the things get put in the right spot. And that they don't that you don't put color where you don't want it to be. That's mainly what it is you're not putting color where you don't want it to be. Means stuff like this. Honestly, I just do this. Magic tool. Got this. A little better. The way to invert it. Mask. Invert selection. I want to know that right now. AMD. AMD, I don't want to know that right now. AMD, that's not useful to me right now. And I don't think you understand that that isn't useful to me right now, AMD. Here comes the render. That's something I'm going to do more. It is making a huge difference. And this is the thing. This is something I've learned both from watching other people and from trying myself. You have to find these tools that work best for you. That's the biggest thing to remember is you have to find the tools for these kind of situations that work the best for your kind of like style. Because the thing is I've seen it done a million trillion billion ways and it's always different. Like you can find different ways to do the same thing. What matters is does it work to your kind of like particular style? You know, is it something that you particularly resonate with? That's a problem. Select. This to deselect. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know what I need to do. This is stupid. Okay, so I need to invert the selection, right? That selects everything outside, right? Right, right. And then I need to go here and you do a magic, and then I can select that. Now that's selected. Now we invert it again. But sometimes you gotta do silly things. Just sometimes you gotta do things a little bit silly to make it work. But if it works, it works. That's what matters. Oops. Actually, I really should. So now we invert the selection, right? Now I go to this. We're going to go to the paint selection. Just going to, ooh, too much. Right now I'm selecting what I want to be inverted. And really this is what I'm doing in other places, you'd be surprised. This is actually something I'm employing from something else I've learned. This is actually utilizing a technique that I've been using a lot with Photoshop. I've been doing this with Photoshop actually a lot, where I will select specific parts of something to not be recognized when I am doing when I'm making my thumbnails, because the way that Photoshop works is kind of annoying sometimes. Is Photoshop sometimes will when I'm going to do that, when I'm going to make those thumbnails, I do utilize its generative tool based on the gradient, because I don't want to. The funny thing is the gradient. I I don't know how to make that. I don't know how I would make that consistently without doing a lot of work. Here's an actual argument for generative stuff like that. It's literally a gradient. If it makes me a worse artist, I guess it makes me a worse artist, but I'm not I don't that is I already am using a gradient tool, and it does do a pretty good job. It does have its faults, it has its moments. I do not know why sometimes using that gradient tool is like pulling teeth. Trust me, it can be a pain, but it is pretty useful in the cases of trying to um, specifically do that, of just regenerate certain things, and it's very useful for specifically I'm gonna do all this and then immediately more. We'll see. Mainly, I just want to select Spinosaurus. That's mainly what I want to do. I want to focus on the render for Spinosaurus, because if I render me, that's going to be a lot less. I don't care. I don't care about rendering me as much. There we go. By marching ants. Oh. Ugh, I don't like that. Yeah, I like the marching ants better. Never heard it called marching ants. I get it, but I've never heard it called marching ants. It's very bizarre. But being able to utilize that generative feature in Photoshop is pretty useful. Like, it genuinely is. It helps me to be able to just pop it into Photoshop and generate the rest of the gradient. Arguably, I guess I could have popped out just the illustration as a like whenever I do those drawing illustrate or the ad illustrations. Um, Whenever I do those, technically speaking, I could just pop out uh their transparency, because they aren't a transparency, and then I pop it into Photoshop, and then I make a whole gradient for the entirety of Photoshop. But this all kind of comes back to, I wish I could just make gradients in Fresco sometimes. I don't know. I mean, I guess granted, that probably would make a more consistent look. So if that's what I have to do or had to do to be like, fine, I won't be on the that side. But that is at least an argument for generative content and generative images that I'm like, yeah, that is generating based on the image I'm using. If you're generating something based on something you've already drawn or made or whatever, that's different. I think that's like fine. I think. I don't see why that would be a problem. I don't foresee why it would be a problem. Um, so like, I think if you're utilizing a reference that is your work to begin with, sure, I totally think that that's fine and fair, because it's not utilizing anyone else's work. I do think that there does need to be at least the understanding as well of like, all any AI that does utilize people's work without their permission is absolutely not okay. So, and the problem is it's a really new technology form. It is still a pretty relatively new piece of technology that people are just now kind of interfacing with, and I think there's something to be said of like fighting its exploitation should be done with the understanding that it is being exploited and that it is a tool that could be useful if people would use it beneficially instead of taking advantage of it and thus giving it already a pretty bad name. Um, because really the main benefit I've seen of it is it helps people who don't have the capacity to make as much original assets still at least be able to make original assets for themselves. And it's like I kind of get that. I kind of get that from that application actually. Like what we want is that kind of like generative material to be available for people like that if you're like running a game of tabletop or doing something like that that's like personal, of course. That's the problem is when it's being used for non-personal purposes, utilizing other people's work without their permission, obviously yes, not okay. So it's pretty tough because AI and generative material is getting better. We need to figure out how to make it. I do think it's not as simple as just flat bad. There's a lot of not good, but I don't think it's as simple as just flat bad. Um, that's coming from me with this. Like it can save, and even I have used it, and an example to save me time. Those thumbnails would take me a thousand. Those thumbnails would probably take me more time if I didn't at least generate those gradients because the gradients themselves are based on a gradient that I make in Photoshop first, and then I put it into Fresco, and then I draw over it, and then I export the image with that gradient, and then I put it back into Photoshop, and then I generate the gradient background. So, like I said, I've found a solution, I guess, I never thought to do is also save transparency of that image and then put it back into Photoshop and then go to the gradient tool and then make a gradient that way based on the colorations that I chose. But then I have to save the colors of the gradients that I used for the images originally. It's a mess. But then again, I guess I could take the gradient that I generated since it's made a 1080 by 2040 uh, vertical, make it landscape, just say that the gradient was moved horizontally. Like, I guess I could. I guess I could find a way. I never thought about that. So, anybody out there was like, well, you don't have to use it. It's like, okay, fine. I thought of a way to not have to use it. But again, it only affects my work and it does save me time. So I do think at least there is at least moral grayness. And there always will be to anything like this. Like, I think it's really easy to be immediately and justifiably like, it's doing bad stuff because it's being used abusively, and, well, also we have to remember that abuse is bad and does not always fault the application of it. It's the application of it that's wrong, not the object itself. We need to figure out how to regulate that. How do I get talking about this? AI is weird right now, man. I feel like a lot of people are very, very, very gung ho to immediately be like you're either for it or you're against it, and I don't know how to interface with that. I've never known how to interface with that. A lot of people are that way. I don't even know how I did that. I don't even know how I did that. I do want that, but I don't want it starting there, I think. I'm trying to be a little bit more. I keep. I'm just swiping me hand. Computer, I'm not doing nothing. One of the rendering techniques I see a lot more is like kind of more of like a spray painterly thing. You kind of just are adding a little bit of a medium at a time. I like how soft it is. I like how much control you have. I've picked up that a lot of work, sometimes mine, that I've been like, okay, I should do that more. Is that I wasn't doing for a long time. Is it's a lot more additive. You don't you just add a little bit at a time. You use a little bit more control. Think about where you're gonna put things like a certain amount of media, and you just put it in one stroke. That's also something that I picked up on is both with my art style and what I've seen other people do is a lot of it is going in one go. This is why I got to start doing stuff like this. So where I'm gonna color. If I ever have like something like that where it's like going behind and I don't want it to like hit the other part to keep it crisp like that, I need to create a I need to create essentially a stencil. I need that line, that hard line like cover. Like I said, that you see a lot of. I feel like it's much more a thing for spray paint. I think it's much more of a thing for spray paint, and I think moving forward, this is something I'm going to do a lot more, especially when I'm doing some of this more kind of like additive, soft texture work. Because it allows me to add a little bit there without going over or going into places I don't want it to. Or at least it should. I don't know. Not great at it yet. And it does have kind of like a spray paint effect to it. I like it. I like it. I'm not really a spray painter. I really am not. I have no kind of like traditional experience. I have no traditional like interaction with spray painting necessarily. Not particularly, anyways. here's what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna work on that side. Honestly, all I need to do now is invert. Because that'll help prevent that kind of like glow. And allow me to actually like... So I did a really bad job. Wait, when did that... Oh, I did do a very bad job. Never mind. No, that's on me. Nope, that one's on me. Drawing's hard, guys. Drawing is really difficult. Be really tough. Really hard. A lot of practice. A lot of time. Ooh, I kind of like that pattern I've got going there. We'll just let that be. Build it up a little bit more. Like that. More like that. More like that. That's good. I like that a lot, actually. Then, neck. Try just adding just like a little bit in spots. That's not the right color. I was like, that's not what I wanted. Yeah. Right there. Just looking to add a little bit more flavor. It's a little bit more flavor to the spiny boy. Just dustings here and there. Just dustings here and there. And then this way. Yeah. And I really like how that red is coming out right now. That looks quite good. I'm gonna go back to the orange. Back to this. This still needs to be lighter, is the thing. Figure out how to do that next. I think I need something darker here. One of the things I want to get better at is like just be willing to like make something bigger. I feel like a lot of times when I'm working on something, I'll like start a little bit too small or I'll go a little bit too small. When I'm really I need to add a little bit more you know, a little bit more of that b. This is the struggle of trying to figure out this. They're not. Roll doesn't do it. If doesn't do it. It just want to get this selected. Yeah. I do find it's a little bit easier for me to do literally every single direction except down, because my hand covers down. Left to right is good, and up is good. Down is bad. It's hard to see what you're doing down. At least for me, it's really, really difficult to see what I'm doing down when I'm flying. A downward stroke is obstructive, to say the least. At least to me, I don't know. Maybe you don't struggle with downward strokes, to which I'm glad for you. Show me how. That's what's bugging me is like, can I really? Is there not re, re, is there not a way to decrease that? That seems so weird that there isn't. Feels like there should be. There isn't. I don't know why there isn't. I wouldn't know why there isn't. Interesting mess. What an interesting mess this whole thing is. I want to use this dark blue. Maybe use the lighter blue. The lighter dark blue. Figure 2. Trying to figure out what to do with that. I won't worry about it for now. Not as important as this. This is more important. Not as important as that. Perfect. Really, I just want to mainly maintain that kind of like shading there, and that this is behind the leg. Is mainly what that is there for. Ahoy! Thank you. Fun fact. Hello. Been a while. Welcome, Jen Loss. Fun fact, I showed this to a paleontologist and he liked it. He gave me tips on how to fix them. Fixed the hands last time, and today I fixed the eye just because I noticed that the eye was a little bit low. So that was super exciting because believe it or not, I went to school for this shit. I went to school, paleontology. I even thought about this recently. This might be something, if I do this within near future, if any part of my life ever stabilizes again, I used to do volunteer work at my local museum working with fossils. And that was volunteer work. It was volunteer. I don't think I needed to be a student to do it. There were non-students there. I should do it again. I know where to go to do it. Or at least I knew. So I should do that again. I would happily do that again. No buts. We'll see. Maybe in the near future, I might start talking about working on the work that I'm doing with paleontology again. Because God knows I missed it. I actually have. Just doesn't pay the bills. But really, like, I used to do that. I've held, I think I held the cast. I don't remember if it was a cast or if it was actually the like a metatarsal for a Tyrannosaurus. Which is just like a rock, by the way. It was insanely heavy. I was like, oh, thing is heavy. To which maybe that's where I would say like if you have a local museum, they're always in need of like volunteer work. Like if you're interested in stuff like that, it is a good way to get involved with your community, to get involved with science, and to get involved with doing things. Local museums are always open to volunteer work, and it's volunteer work. Like, think about it. It's like, oh, I could be paid for this, but think about that. Like, it's volunteer, and it should be. Because if you really care about something, really care about contributing to something, being a part of something, hot take, should be willing to do it as volunteer work. I should be. No buts. That goes for me too. Like, support. There are no local museums. Ah. But seriously, like, always be looking at, honestly, I haven't done it in a long time. I should be looking into it again. Be willing to do volunteer work because it's volunteer work. It's not, and the fact that we have punishment volunteer work is a little bit. I'm not gonna say it's messed up. I think it's good asterisk, but also you should be doing it because you should be wanting to do it, not because you're being punished for it. I even did volunteer work at a food pantry when I was in college. I haven't done volunteer work in a long time. I should think about that. I just haven't. No buts. I haven't. I need to. Honestly, people should be willing to do volunteer work. You should be willing to do volunteer work. Support your community, you lazy fucks, me included. You're finally on Ritalin? Wow. Why you got such a beef with Nightbot, by the way? What did he do to you? Hydrate Bot is a good boy. He's doing his best. He ain't done nothing. You're gonna make him cry. He's a sweet boy. Talk about, speaking of volunteer work. Speaking of volunteer work. Uh, Nightbot is volunteer work. Hydrate Man is also volunteer work. But he doesn't need to be paid. He's a menace. Hydrate Man. Nightbot does it for the charity. Hydrate Man does it for the sport. Thank you. Case in point. Unintentionally, I think I've gone a little bit more Mallard. For a second, I was like, I should base this on, like, Arcadillion, but I'm like, I've really made him as bird-like as possible. I should make him, because, you know, uh, you know, uh-huh. Honestly, if I'm gonna do an animated emote, I'm working on an animated redeem at the moment. I might make the next project an animated redeem for Hydrate Man because I'm a psycho. We'll see. I might. I always like that he slides on screen though. Also, bye. Thanks. Hi, bye. We'll take some Ritalin. And they go. They go. Much. Too much stank on that last one. I might as well just make this black. I might work a little bit on the line art. Some of it could be improved, emphasized. All I know is that whatever I get to today, I really want it to be done. And if not, it'll be very, very close. Sometimes you run into this. I feel like I was on a really good roll for a while there where I was just nailing them out, and I think recently I've like really wanted to like hone in on a little bit more of like put some real work and effort into it. I've also been a little bit short on time recently, so that's not fully my fault either. Uh so yeah, I'm a little two minds of it. I've got a lot on my plate in some ways all the goddamn time. And on top of that, even with that aside, I've been wanting. I really want to step up my like kind of render game a little bit. I guess I want to really, 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 really focus on the render of this and like make it as nice as possible. So if I end up doing one more day, we'll see. I don't have as much time today to begin with, because I started earlier. I'm gonna have to end. I have a pretty harsh stopping point at you know at time time I have a pretty harsh stopping point at I don't know what time. I don't know what time it is. 12 o'clock. It's 11 already, so at least I'm making good progress. I haven't gotten distracted. I've been drawing the whole time, which is good. So if I end up taking one more day, it's just simply because that I want to put that much more effort into this. I really want the render to look good. I really, really, really want the render to look good, which means what I should be looking at is I should be looking at other renders. Here's the thing, people. Study, study. If you want to get better at something, you need to look at something else sometimes. You have to see what are they doing that might help my render without just doing what they do. Okay. Like, I feel like a lot of times I in particular will run into these kind of like divots of being like, I really, really, really want to like do things to increase the quality of my work, and then I don't try to like, and then I try to like figure it out on my own. Now that can work. I'm not. The thing is I've had luck. I've had luck, and I've had progress doing that. However, sometimes looking at somebody else's render will help you miss things you didn't or details you didn't think about applying. You know, like you can get a better grasp of how to do certain things if you look at what somebody else did. Super important. And really don't like my advice is always be willing to look at work to study it from the standpoint of like what is something that I missed rather than what is it that they that I can do that they did to directly, right? Like right now I'm looking at a render and trying to see like details I might have missed and stuff like that, as well as like thinking about how they use certain kind of colors and stuff. But I don't want to make it the same pattern. I don't even have the same colors I'm using. It doesn't even really look the same. About the only thing that's the same is some of the the like underbelly color, but I've like done something very, very different. So like I want to be able to still like obviously like do the work the way that I do it, but sometimes, especially when it comes to science illustration, it's important to remember that like science illustration is a form of interpretive science. So in a certain sense, being able to use other people's interpretation still is going to help you study to be able to better understand what they got right, what you might have missed, what they might have missed, what they considered, what they didn't consider. Like, it's important to utilize reference to gain a better frame of reference on how to better do something, um, is what I've learned personally. Personally, I don't know. That might not apply to everybody. And really, I want to focus on that more. Mainly, I just want to get like skin folds and stuff more correct. I feel like a lot of times I kind of just leave that be as it is, and I don't do more with it, and I really should. Bodies are flabby. Bodies are flabby sometimes. Normal to be a little bit flabby. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now we're to the part of the render where I'm just like kind of detailing certain kinds of things, and I'm getting close to the part of the render where I really start to just go like crazy on certain kinds of like shadows and stuff, but I'm not quite ready for that, I think. Not quite yet. And this is more of the like detail work of illustration. I guess I could do some of my guy. Like, well, that's fun. I didn't even realize I did that. I used like some of my shirt. Well, like that. I don't want to preserve that feel. That I at least have like I have some depth. Now here's the hard part: is there was a request to try to make it look like he's casting a shadow on me. Oh, that would be so hard. Well, see, here's the problem, and this is something that's why I just am not good with requests, right? Like, here's the admittance. Here's why I'm always so reluctant, reserved, uh, incapable. I don't know a good word. Um, there is something to be said that asking somebody to do something a certain way does not necessarily mean one of two things. It does not mean that it will look good, and it does not mean that you will know how to do it. I want to say that this is in the case of I don't think it would look good. The reason why is if you put the light behind them, a backlight would be fine, but I can't think of I would need a lighting example of how to make that backlight work. Right now, I have it very front lit. I have the light from the viewer's perspective. That's just where my mind gravitates naturally. So, if I was to do truly a backlight, that would mean that pretty much everything would be darkened. Pretty much everything would be darkened. It would actually make a lot of things flat, or at least so I can't I struggle to see how I would be able to do that without flattening the entire thing. And that is tough for me. No buts. Like that's my best excuse. I just don't know how I would get that to look good off the top of my head. And that's why it's like there was a request to be like, "Hey, you should have it look like he's in the shade." Honest answer, I don't know how I would do that. I don't know how I would do that. A lot more. It is easy to look at somebody be able to make something and then just be like, "Oh, they can make anything." Sorry, fellas. It's just not true. It's actually not true. We commit. I feel like I've gotten much better at making a lot of things, and I'm always looking to try to improve that. I'm always trying to look new processes and stuff like that. But sometimes it is that difficult. It is just that difficult to be able to be like, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know how I would do that. Um, and that's fine. Like that's actually okay because what this project is focusing on my render in a flat backlit or in a flat front light. Like I know what I wanted out of this project, and it's something to be said that if you know what you want out of a project, that any modification of that is just putting more work on you than what I already intended. Now, it's not to say that I've never done dramatic lighting. This piece just isn't about dramatic lighting, so I just really don't know how I would make it shaded. And it's easy to just say, we'll just make it shaded. And it's like, that's a lot of work, actually. It is a lot of work. And I bring that up just because I think it was brought up as like, oh, that'd be a cool idea. Oh, that'd be good. And I think sometimes, like, obviously, I think in this case, it was just that. I think it was just like, oh, that'd be nice. It's like, yeah, that would be nice. But I had to like stop and think about it. And I was like, how actually feasible is that? Not as feasible as even I want it to be, because even I could see that being a cool thing. And my brain is like looking at the sale right now and like, I still don't know what to do with that. Like, it is easy to say somebody who creates things should just be able to make it, right? Like, I think it's easy to look at something that somebody makes and just be like, they've made tons of things. Why couldn't they just make this thing? Um, and the answer is because we still suck. Because everybody still kind of sucks. Um, no matter how much I practice something, there are just things that I will look at and be like, I need to study that. I need to figure out how he would do it. But that's its own fucking beast. That's its own whole thing. Like, it would require a lot of work. And right now, that's not the work that I'm concerned with. It's not the work I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with the work of the piece that we're doing right now, and the piece that we're doing right now has nothing to do with lighting. It has everything to do with perfecting my rendering. Rendering can have lighting involved, but really I really want to focus on the render part of like making something look as like believably colored and textured as possible, and that the lighting is there in service of that. The lighting is in service to the rendering. If I wanted to focus on the lighting, I wouldn't focus on the rendering as much, and I would focus on the lighting. And my goal is to eventually get to the point that I marry the two, that I could get a middle point with the rendering and a middle point with the lighting and have a dynamic of both. But right now, I'm focused on the render. I want the render to be as detailed as possible. And again, I really only bring this up because I like thought about it. I was like, it was recommended, or it was suggested. Maybe I should try giving it a backlight. And I thought about it, and I analyzed the situation I had gotten myself into with this drawing, and what I was looking at with the work that I was doing, and where it was going. And ultimately, I have to say, I can't, or I shouldn't, or I probably could, but the time and resources do not a lot for it, because I think I'm barely going to have enough time to be able to get this render done. And I still probably need at least one more day, just because I don't have as much time today as I want. Um, I've also been a little bit more constricted. I used to be able to do longer drawing streams. That is not the case anymore. I can't do 3-hour drawing streams. They're going to be in 2-hour chunks. So I probably need to take a few more days to work on any given project. So my pipeline's been slowed down a little bit. And again, this is all essentially me clarifying something of I did think about it. I considered doing it. I did consider doing it. And it just I don't know. I did my art math. I'm not good at math, but I did do my art math, and my art math tells me you've got enough on your plate. Don't worry about that. You have enough to worry about. You don't need to worry about getting the lighting to be dynamic at this moment because right now you're focused on making the render as render as possible. Which means, unfortunately, taking away from that. This is why, whilst I can respect that it is a recommendation, it's a clarification from my end to be like, always remember, if I don't follow a recommendation, it wasn't even because I thought it would be a bad idea. Recommendations are recommendations, but there's always something more that prevents a recommendation from actually being utilized, which is why even when I'm on many camps in agreement with certain things, like for example, a lot of the changes happening Hunt, I think a lot of them I don't necessarily agree with. I think some of them feel like they're out of left field. I don't understand what Crytek is doing sometimes. Crytek is still a company. They're still making their thing, and there's still probably information that we are not privy to as people who consume their product to why they are making the decisions they do, because those decisions can be influenced more than just how people play the game. And sometimes decisions are made for any reason, even including because they wanted to try something. It doesn't mean that that thus forgives any time that they just wanted to try something and it doesn't work. All I'm trying to clarify is that sometimes when you're trying to rationalize why a decision was made, the rationale is because I just tried something. And I think that's sometimes what I think, unless I'm misinterpreting what some people get into when they get like really upset at Crytek or get really upset at anything for being like, why'd you make a decision like this? I think they they want the rationale to be something that's like conceivably like if you did you shouldn't have made this choice if you had a clear and good unconscious rationale, when in reality I would say, just based on my own creation of things, you make decisions based on what you think will work in the moment. You'd be surprised how much rationale plays into that. And I think people forget about that because I think they forget that they're able to look at it from a third person perspective as somebody who's engaging with something that aren't in the moment and are just engaging with the thing right there, right in front of them, with the changes done. And they're able to bring in a perspective of like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. Why would you do this? When sometimes that decision is made to alleviate something else that was an immediate problem that many people aren't privy to. Usually. Usually. Not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying anything else than that. Like, just saying that's you. The rationale can be as simple as because. So, I think that we have a lot of very, very critical, highly critical things being made about certain things right now, specifically in games. I feel like I notice it a lot in games that people are being very, very critical of things in certain games without having all of the tools to make that critical analysis sometimes. Well, this is marathon. I'm not here to defend it because I know it'll be good. I'm here to defend it because I don't know it will be good. Nobody knows if people are acting like they do. Just bugs me when people do that shit. Nobody knows shit, but they act like they do. Want to know what I'm going to base my assertion on Marathon about? Is what I do know. What do I know? Very little. So what can I base my assertions on? What I can see observably. What I've seen observably with Marathon is They're doing things that I do want to be in more extraction games. It is closer to Tarkov, so for me that's a criticism. I'm like, I don't like Tarkov games. I just don't. Marauders was okay. I enjoyed it, but it ultimately suffered for me and my friends was its exclusivity to team play from a standpoint that we need to give teams a disadvantage, and the only disadvantage they could think of as Tarkov as an extension is to make team play incredibly tedious from the teamwork standpoint. That's not to say that good team play can't exist from good communication, but miscommunication equally can cause problems because you're fighting with each other to figure out, am I about to shoot my friend instead of just shooting your opponents? So I feel like from a team play standpoint, it's just frustrating. It's just obnoxious. Marathon is going to have resing, and it seems to also have self-resing, which is to be determined whether that's a good or bad thing. I think I'm indifferent on that. That's up to implementation, not up to expectation, right? Like, they have self-resing. That could be a good or bad thing. That depends on how it's implemented. People are complaining about the art style. I find that to be an interesting argument in that that's just taste. I find that the argument about its art style being poopy is more just coming down to people are comparing it to things that exist. And I'm like, I can see that argument. But I still think that there is something to be said that I saw somebody call it plastic, and I'm like, I hate to say this. Weirdly, they're kind of doing their aesthetic justice then if you think it looks fake. You literally play as an android. Everything's made out of synthetic materials and plastic in that setting. So weirdly, they are doing it right. I've seen people call it generic, which I don't really agree with, because like I think its design is super weird. I find some of its choices of weapon design to be kind of interesting and odd. But I do see what they're going for as far as like presentation. A lot of people are calling it generic, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I find that what they are going for, as somebody who has an interest in analyzing aesthetic and analyzing creative decisions of stuff like that, uh, they're not going for. I've heard like the magenta argument for a lot of games. That I could kind of see, like just adding as many neon colors as possible. But usually that doesn't bother me. A lot of people have a problem with it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I like super colorful shit, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me when something has striking visuals. That's not a problem. Halo had striking visuals. It really did. Think about it. Think of all the powerful effects and stuff. Like, it doesn't seem out of line with Bungie's aesthetic. That's another thing. Bungie has a style. I don't know. If you're gonna call it comparative to anything, it does look more like Destiny than Halo, and that there, criticism. I would rather be more like Halo, but that's a me thing. That's a but me thing. Got to remember that. Always separate your assertions of I would have liked it this way from what they're actually doing. You got to make criticisms on what they're actually doing, not what your interests are. Which again, I have not seen any evidence from the footage to imply that anything that I would have disliked about Marathon have anything to do with what they're actually doing and aren't just things that I'm like, that's weird. I think a lot of people are knee-jerk to say when something is weird, which it is. There are a lot of things that seem kind of weird about Marathon that I want to see implemented to make an opinion that people are just blanket face and saying it's going to be bad, or it's going to look terrible, or it's going to play awful. And I'm like, you haven't tried it yet. Nobody's tried it yet. Nobody's tried it yet. Make those assertions when you've tried it and can put it in your hands and go, wow, this plays like poop. So the aesthetic, one of the things I've also seen is like they're Roblox guns. And at first I did look at it and I was like, what the hell? This is weird. And the more I looked at the blockiness of the aesthetic, if I was to criticize it of anything, it is attempting to do something that I think is weird maybe not necessarily successful, but I can see what they're at least going for stylistically. Marathon was a game that came out back in 1995? When did Marathon come out? 1994. I was close. I was really close. I was 1 years old. And this is where I'm like, hey, if you guys want my esteemed opinion, this is my esteemed opinion because I'm going to look up information if I don't know something, or I'm going to try to, anyways. Uh, and yeah, I I look up information when I talk about this stuff. If I'm like, I don't know that, let me go check. Because, fun fact, when you're discussing a topic that you want to be unbiased, to be able to discuss it, if you don't know something, or if you're not certain of something, people who care about that look up information. That's called research. Uh, but that is a game series from 1994. If they are going for a sort of like homage, there's two things I've noticed. The weapon design and the UI design are very like the UI design's a little bit easier to point out on this. There's a lot of pixel art in it. There's a lot of pixel art in it. So I'm getting the impression that they're going for a half homage, half legitimification of the kind of like pixel art aesthetic of Marathon. Um, and I get that. It's like if you're really invested in the art design of Marathon, I do think that that is a little bit like kind of that's not the aesthetic of Marathon is pixel art. The aesthetic of Marathon is actually more probably closer to Halo. Um, so fair enough. That's semantics. If you had, that's the thing. If people had an issue with that, if they were saying that, I totally fucking agree with them. Actually, I'd be like, yeah, that's that. Yeah. If you're like this doesn't really fit the original aesthetic, it's something that isn't quite what they did. And sure, and then that would be like both a little bit more analytical. It'd be you reading into like the aesthetics to be like, okay, so what did they change, and what do I dislike about it? Um, but from that like kind of like more direct analysis of the like kind of pixel thing they're going for, it still is like I still think that's like at least legitimate, right? Like they're not making an aesthetic choice because it'll look flashy. It's that freaking new wave fucking magenta vomit that all games are going for. It can be in there. I kind of see it. I get if you have an issue with that, fine, that's in the game. But I don't think that the physical design has anything to do with that. And I do think that people who are calling it like generic or uninspired, I'm just like, uh, there are no guns in games that look like these. Roblox, they look like Roblox guns, sure, but that still doesn't mean that it's generic. That just means you don't like Roblox. Um, God knows I haven't seen weapon designs like that in any game. Generic would imply that they look like guns in every game, or they look like something that you've seen 1,000 times, and they're designs in Marathon I've never seen. So, except for in Marathon, like things like the four have been teased to exist. So, like they're using original designs from Marathon, and they'll be making a comeback. And they're original, unique designs. Like I have not seen the four in almost any other game. They're super cool. So like, I'm kind of excited to see what they do with that. This is the thing. People see Marathon, they don't know what the fuck Marathon is. Nobody knows what Marathon is. That's a criticism to Bungie. Nobody knows what Marathon is. So if they're doing things to try to generate any hype around it, the people who are going, you're going to have the two people. You're going to have the people who are me, who at least are familiar enough with the Marathon because I played the game. It got a little bit of hype a couple years ago. Sean and I played through all three Marathon games. So you're going to have people like me who are going to look at it and be like, that's weird. Why are they doing this? Which I could attest from that. Like that's my analytical standpoint. It's like that's weird. I do want to see what they do with it. I thought Marathon was really cool. There's a lot of stuff to play around in that space. There's a lot of space to play around with, and people immediately are writing it off. And then you have the opposite camp, people who don't fucking know what Marathon is. So, eh. And on top of that, if there's any arguments to be like had to its aesthetic, it's like how much of it is actually Marathon and isn't just its own new IP. That's the problem. That's something I could like really bite down with people and like be like, I could see that. Like, and maybe it will suck. This is the whole thing. People are just being so harsh right off the bat, and we don't know dick. We don't know dick about it. And that's not to say you can't be skeptical. I think people also forget that skeptical does not suddenly mean cynical. Skeptical means you're saying, okay, I'm not going to say that it's going to be the best thing ever. That's it. That's all. That's all that, to me, being skeptical should mean is I have a set determination that maybe, just maybe, I have reason to believe that it won't be great and it won't be terrible. But I also think that there's a lot of value in kind of like my perspective of like a Bungie game and my perspective of the Marathon project, in that for me, Marathon shows a sign of maybe I might want to try a Bungie game again. That's what it means to me. I haven't played a Bungie game since Halo Reach. I didn't play Destiny, and I wasn't interested in Destiny. I didn't play, and they haven't really done anything but Destiny. I just didn't grab my interest. I don't know why. I kind of got the impression that it wasn't the game for me, and that what's funny is I think actually having like seen it, I probably could have enjoyed Destiny perfectly fine. I just got the impression that I wouldn't like it pretty early on. And that, you know what? Fair enough. That's on me. That's not on Destiny. Actually, I gave it a judgment before judging it for myself. Maybe I would have really enjoyed it. I don't actually know. I didn't give it a fair shot. Kind of like as an example to that, I never gave. I didn't give enough of a fair shot to Titanfall. I thought Titanfall was bullshit. I was tired of Call of Duty games. I didn't want to play Call of Duty games. I wanted to play games that were more forgiving. I wanted to play games where the time to kill wasn't so insanely high and reflex based that I was just outcompeted because some cracked individual had played the game every single waking moment that they had when I got to play it on the fucking weekends if I was lucky. I still maintain that assertion. I don't want games to have that level of skill challenge for multiplayer games. It's too much. Like, there needs to be a wider range of options. You could argue there are, but you know, right. Well, what's funny is also it wasn't encouraged me to play any other way. Probably are. Actually, probably are. If I really sat down and thought about it, I probably could work out better strategies than just the go-to kind of blah that I experienced with Call of Duty by the end of my interest of playing Call of Duty, which was all you gotta do is shoot faster than your opponent. You don't know how many times I would get the drop on somebody and then they would just turn around and outshoot me because they had a gun that had a higher DPS or had or just somehow were able to aim punch me enough even though I was actively shooting them. Like, I have my own Call of Duty, but that's its own mess to unpack on its own. That aside, I just think people are being too harsh. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be like, it's probably not for me. Fair enough. I haven't played a new Bungie game in a long time. I haven't. That said, Bungie is a different beast now. It's not the same Bungie I grew up with. Like, I just want to see what they would do with an extraction shooter. Because even with my waned interest in Destiny aside, over time, I got nothing but the impression that Destiny was both a success and a very good staple to online progress. Like, they did a really good job at creating a game that has an online only focus and advancing a lot of the implementation of online systems and online oriented gameplay. That's something Bungie has been doing for years. Now we have extraction shooters, and so few of them have done what Hunt does that James and I are fucking itching at the teeth to see anything even remotely attempt some of the things that Hunt did. This is not a statement to say that Hunt is perfect. That's the point. We want to see more things trying what Hunt does in different ways. Marathon is an opportunity for that for us. So was the Cycle. So was Marauders. So was Tarkov for me. Guess what? None of those have still been able to quite do what Hunt has done. And we want something to try to iterate on what Hunt has done. That's all we want. You want to know the next closest one that's actually iterated on Hunt and done anything that I want Hunt to do? And it's not even a multiplayer competitive game? Fucking Helldivers. Helldivers is the closest thing to do anything that I would say comparable to what I want more of in games like Hunt. And it's not Hunt. It shouldn't be. Absolutely should not be. I don't think it should be, and I don't think it ever will be. So, like, that's my whole thing, is there's a lot of potential, I feel like. There's a lot of potential to do a lot of different things, and people are immediately writing it off for seeming circumstantial reasons. Everybody will have a reason. That's not me saying that nobody has a reason to dislike Destiny. Like I said, I have my own reasons to be like, yeah, I'm not saying it's gonna fix video games or that it's going to be even a solution that I like. I just want to see more cracks at that playstyle and that thing. And Bungie, the last thing Bungie did for me was an amazing game. And since then, I haven't played their games, and I've heard mixed bag overall, mixed reception, especially at the start, but always have heard that they have improved and that in some way Destiny is a success. That's all and I want to see where Bungie is at now. That's it. I just want to see what they can do. They still have a knowledge base. They still have some of the best design for a kind of like experience that games like Destiny and Halo provide that I haven't seen in a long time. And I haven't seen a game try to play like Halo since fucking Halo in my experience. If there are, please point them to me. I have not seen them. Halo Reach was the last one that really did it for me. So that's all. I just want to see what they do. I am morbidly curious. I don't even guarantee that it will be good and that I will like it. But I still want to see it. And I think I just want to be able to voice that like concern that people are saying it's dead on arrival, and I'm just like, can't people just look forward to anything anymore at all? Or like at least be mildly interested? Or if they're not interested, just be like, doesn't look like it's for me. Probably not. A lot of interest in things is a bit of a uh, a bit of a pissing match, to say the least. So, and I think mainly this was just to vent that. Be like, man, I get it. I see a lot of discourse like this, and I need to stop looking at the real moral of the stories is to stop looking at the comment section, because I go to it every time thinking like, I wonder what other people are saying about this, and the answer usually is kill yourself. So I've been on the internet long enough, I shouldn't be surprised anymore. I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed in you, internet. Find a new fucking way to think. I don't know, man. You don't have to. If it's the only, if anything, I should remember, if somebody's main way to engage with any kind of conversation is that they weren't going to say anything meaningful anyways, either for anything or anyone. They weren't going to say anything meaningful anyways. Which is why when I get to that point, I feel like I'm getting close to it. Dude, I should have a counter. I should make a counter, and just like anytime somebody does it, I'll just like post it and I'll say the number's gone up. Because sometimes that's what you gotta do. That is at least like the quote unquote like good. I don't think he's even good. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think people should talk to each other that way. Um, the one thing about the internet that's like, you know, fine, sure, is that kind of assertion that you should never take. If somebody tells you to kill yourself, you should never take it seriously. On the internet, especially. Because they don't have anything else to tell you. They have nothing else to tell you. There's no conversation, there's nothing to be said. They're just gonna do that. Or just being mad on the internet as usual. No buts. I know that too. If that helps somebody out, if me saying that helps somebody out there, remember, people just gonna be mad. People gonna be mad. Brother's gonna be mad, let him be mad. Don't waste your time on people who are just gonna be mad about things because they have nothing else to do with their time and their effort and seemingly have no joy in their life. Always be willing, essentially, and this is something I'm learning, is be willing to make your peace on a subject, and as soon as somebody is counter to it, and if they have nothing really helpful or insightful to say, you're allowed to just be like, sorry, you're not helping. I think everybody is in their power to do that, me included. And I need to be willing to exercise that more myself. I think I get a little bit stressed out and actually cautious to like say anything because I do worry that I'm just gonna bring in people who are gonna do that, and I have to remember something. Like I never say anything with any intent to stir shit up. I don't. I don't think I do. Try not to. So if I don't, then I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry about the potential because at that point, the people who are stirring stuff are not me. People who want to stir stuff, and they're always going to want to stir stuff. So always ignore those people. Not worth your time. Ignore the shit stirrers. They like to stir shit. They're freaks. No, kind of called myself out. I don't think I'm going to get this done today, which is fine. I kind of suspected I wouldn't. It's a lot. And I don't have as much time. That's something also to have to remember is I don't actually have as much time to work as I did before, and I have to adjust for that. That is something I need to adjust for. It's something I am adjusting for actively. I have to get used to it. Very awkward though. So note, I am aware that I'm kind of like not setting myself up with the most amount of time to be able to work on this, so I have to be prepared for when I run out of time. Will happen. Yeah, I like that. Get a little bit more bevel. I'm already at highlight stage. I don't know if I'm already at highlights. I don't know if I want to start adding highlights because, again, much of this render is about so much less about the lighting and so much more about the texturing. I really want to get this might be something I might do more. Maybe today's render day. I really want to get this render down as much as possible, and the next time lighting. I think you do your render first, and then you do your lighting. You do your shadow, like your actual hard lighting, and your hard shadows there. Right now, I'm focused on getting the textures down. At least that's what I keep telling myself as I continue to do a little bit more. This is the hard part of texturing a little bit, I find, is that the hard part of texturing is some parts of texture are directly related to lighting. So I have to like make some brute force calls on pattern before lighting can be tackled, and vice versa. I have to make some lighting calls on texture because it's difficult. Difficult. At least for me, it's difficult. Maybe it's not difficult for everybody, but it's definitely difficult for me. I struggle with it. I don't know about anybody else, but I definitely struggle. About out of time. But if I'm doing morning stream, I have to this week. Shouldn't have to tomorrow, but we'll see. Well, I can't tomorrow. Even if I ended up having to need to, I don't stream until the evening anyway, so don't worry about that. That won't change. And hopefully, like, two minds of it, I want to say two things to those who sat through that whole marathon thing and say, yeah, I'm glad that you understand. That's all. I wanted to share my knowledge and my kind of like analysis of what I've seen going on and my thought process, and I appreciate that. If you agree, I appreciate it. If you don't agree, fair enough. And to anybody out there who's in the last camp who tells me to kill myself, okay, bye. Like everyone should remember this as the internet, even if I'm streaming and you're able to catch me live and have an involvement in the discussion. There is a wall. There is a window between us. And it's a one-way window. It's a one-way window. I can't see you. Always remember that. I will be, and let's be honest, I'm going to have much better time being able to engage with a discussion on something that we can at least be able to ascertain that we are discussing it with the understanding that it'll be easier to yes and. It is easier to engage with someone who is yes anding you. Or no butting. If you are no and you are yes but, that is incredibly hard to engage with. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. And if I'm here to bring up, and this is something to be said, I'm here to discuss the things and bring up the topics that I want to discuss. Yes and no but me on the topics that I want to discuss. Anything else is not worth my time. No buts. That's what I'm here for. I think the only reason why I kind of laid out the line on that is just because there has been one close call in recent memory, and which I got in a situation like that, and that's how I view the internet. That's how I'm treating the internet, and that's what I'm doing my best. So I'm always welcome to hear, like, if somebody has a question, if somebody wants a clarification, if somebody wants to add something to, like, think about. You know, like, it's totally okay to be like, well, have you considered this? Use the thing. That's a question. That's asking me, process this information. If I give an answer and you don't like it, I'm not actually in the wrong there. I am not. Do not, do not do not ask a question to somebody for an answer you want. If that makes sense. Unless you give them a question that you know will give you the answer you want. And if they don't, that's fine too. That's fine too. I remember the part of the reason why I brought up this marathon thing was I kind of mentioned it on somebody else's stream, and because they were like, I'm not really feeling marathon. I was like, well, fair enough. I do think that people are being a little harsh on it. That's all I was saying. Um, so, and they kind of they agree too that it's like, well, we haven't seen anything for it. So it's like, yeah, that's all. Like, people need to be willing to admit that too. You know, I think it's easy to be harsh. I think it's easy to be harsh. It is really easy to be harsh on things. I catch myself doing that sometimes. I think it is more responsible to catch yourself being harsh for very little reason than it is to be like, why are you just in support of something? It's very easy. Very, very easy to conflate skepticism with harshness. At least to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm full of shit on that. Probably am. I could be full of shit. Alright, it's 12 o'clock. I'm going to start closing up shop. This is good. This was good. This was progress. I made really, really good progress here. I need to move some stuff around, actually. Move this up a little bit. Here. Oh, it kind of matches with the WAP. And then this needs to move up a little bit here-ish. See where this is. Make sure it's not overlapping it. Okay, we're good. Yeah. I like that. It is a little bit top heavy. What's funny is I might... Oh, but it kind of has to overlap it a little bit. Because I was like, maybe I do this. Or we select multiple, right? And I move this down like a nudge. But it does need to overlap with the thing a little bit. So, just like that. I just wanted the framing a little bit nicer. The framing was a little bit rough. Because if I do this... Oops. That probably helps the framing a little bit too. No, it's bottom heavy. This is the problem. Let me move it back. Just in case. Yeah, that's overall probably better. Yep. I think that's better. Yeah, that's still better. Always worth a shot. Always gotta try things sometimes. Alright. Well, I gotta go. Let me go ahead. So we're gonna start our outro. I'm gonna open up Bing Create. We're gonna make an image. Then I'll share that image before we grade out. If you want to participate, all you gotta do is type in chat. Whatever chat says, I'll use as a reference. And then I'll share the image before we grade out. So to get us started, weighing the render versus the lighting. And I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to add to that. I'll give you like 30 seconds. I did good. This was good. I think this is a good start. I need to do a little bit more rendering on the arms. I just need to be willing to be like, it's going to take more time. Sometimes things take more time. Sometimes things take more time than you expect, especially when you're limited. I'm limited to 2 hours now for drawing. I need to do a combination of speeding up my process a little bit and being willing to be like, I don't have 3 hours. Easier to get something done when you have 3 hours to work. That extra hour would make a difference here. I think I could very solidly finish that render in the next hour and maybe start lighting. Maybe even do a lot of the lighting. Lighting usually doesn't take that long. So there is probably only around 2 more hours of work. And I probably need to do one more thing. Stop getting on rants. You know what? Honestly, I need to stop getting on rants. They distract me. They distract me too much. My rant's about rants. I shouldn't do them anymore. I shouldn't do them at all, honestly. No buts. No buts. Rants are bad. Don't go on rants, people. Rants are not good. They're not healthy, in my opinion. They're not good for me. I get on them. They distract me from my work. They distract me from what I'm doing. Rants aren't good. Rants also sometimes are usually fueled less by actual analysis and more by feeling, and rants aren't good. Rants aren't good. I don't think I've ever seen a rant go well for anyone, me included. No buts. Ranting is ranting. Ranting is ranting. Weighing the render versus the lighting when deciding how to draw myself. Heading. Ooh, nice. I'm actually about to go probably make some lunch and then go do something. I gotta go do some work. My own. Thanks for stopping by, Creeper. I hope you had a good lunch. Petting the Spinosaurus, patiently awaiting the finishing of their portrait. And I'll let that cook. And I'll let that cook. Alright, well, stick around to the very end. I also do a bit of a closing bit. We do raid after every stream. So that way the Daywalkers in our chat can keep watching. Just everybody else out there, make sure to go lock your doors and windows because it's almost lunchtime for Daywalkers. And thank you for joining, everybody. Hope you had a good time and you enjoyed the show. If you're able to join the live show, thank you for stopping by and chatting and watching. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for taking the time to go back and rewatching the VOD. We appreciate it. If you're out there and you enjoyed this and you want to see more of what we're up to, I recommend scrolling down below and following or clicking any of the links. There's a link to an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or Discord. We post when we go live on any one of those platforms, as well as anything else that we're up to, and just generally, you can come hang out with the rest of the community there. Good time on the Discord. Speaking of which, Hydrate Man is here. Speaking of which, shout out to our community on everyone on the Discord and everyone who follows. You guys are a wonderful audience. We appreciate you. If we do anything particularly entertaining or noteworthy, feel free to clip it and share it on the internet. Just make sure to also hashtag with MCCanary or link it back to the stream so people can find more of the good stuff we do here. And if you want to see the stream grow, you got to let people know. I appreciate that people have been talking about the stream, and I encourage you guys to do it more. It does help us out. It's super rad that you guys are willing to do that. And just generally, it's just super cool that we're doing things you guys want to talk about and discuss. So go tell your friends about the stream. Go tell people about the stream. I won't. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our supporters of Patreon and Twitch. Your generosity allows us to expand the stream as well as take on more projects. The stream would not be made possible without viewers like you, so we thank you. If you want to see your name added to this list, as well as a couple of the benefits you get, you could always subscribe directly on Twitch or check out the Patreon page here. It'll show you everything that you can get, and any amount will always be appreciated. Once again, thank you. And thank you to Mods who do a wonderful job holding back the Robot Army and preventing them becoming famous. Thank you just everybody for coming and hanging out. I had a good time. I got progress, got the render work done. We'll probably do one more of this, and then Mr. Spinosaurus will be done. So, go check out all the rest of our friends in Goblin Entertainment here. That link tree has links to everyone's channels and everything they've done and they've been up to, and the rest of my stuff here. I have my own link tree that has everything that I post to. So you should go check everybody out. Goblin Entertainment. Let's go say hi to Joe. I'm guessing there was an update. We were just talking about Tarkov. I don't like it. I don't know, man. There's always that siren call of Tarkov, but I feel like I have to beat it off with a switch. So, everybody go say hi to Joe, though. He's a good boy. We appreciate Joe here. I'll see. I mainly just want to see if he wants to see my dinosaur. So we'll go say hi to him. He's a good guy, either way. And remember, so stick around for that. Otherwise, have a good afternoon. Take it easy. We will be back later. And remember, Spinosaurus is good boy. Spinosaurus is good boy. And if you have a museum near you, ask if they have volunteer programs. Museums need volunteers. They always do. And it's a good thing. And you too can touch a dinosaur bone very easily. You just sign up for it. I like the very literal weighing that is in this. It's good. Why is he petting him on the mouth? I guess that's the render versus the lighting, even though there's lighting on both of them? Now this looks like some kind of intervention. I really don't know how to feel about this. Like how many legs? Wait. Did Bean learn how to copy-paste? I mean, Being's always known how to copy-paste.